Okay, you may start, Mark.
Okay. Good evening. The public budget hearing for the Forest Grove School District is called to order in accordance with ORS 294.430. This opportunity is for public comment regarding the 2020-2021 budget approved by the Budget Committee and referred to the school board for adoption. In accordance with district policy, public criticism or complaints about district personnel is not allowed. Comments were made available by sending email to a published specific email address or by Google form. And I understand that David Warner will read any comments that have been received.
That's correct.
Okay, so we haven't received any, or?
We do have one, but I don't believe it's for the budget. So we could probably save that to the regular. It was under the same form, but it's not regarding the budget.
Okay.
And there isn't anything yet in the email, but I'll keep checking until 5:40.
I see. Okay, we wait until 5:40 and then close the.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. We'll just wait then for another 5 or 6 minutes, I guess.
I feel like we should have music or something. Okay, Mark, it's 5:40. I didn't get any emails.
Okay. All right, we'll proceed then. This concludes the budget hearing and public testimony regarding the 2020-2021 Forest Grove School District budget. This budget hearing is adjourned at 5:40 p.m. Thank you, everyone who's attended this. We'll now go into school board session, and I'll call the school board meeting to order. So the June 8th, 2020 Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meeting is called to order at 5:40 p.m. We'll do a roll call of board members present. So Mark Everett present. Kate?
Present.
Brad?
I'm here.
Val?
Here.
And Narce?
Here.
Okay, great. The school board will take public comment via Google form. The link is on the board meeting page on the district website. A designated email address was also added, and comments received will be read at the appropriate time on the agenda. This time, would you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States
of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move we approve tonight's agenda as written.
I second.
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. All right, all of those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and Siobhan is not with us for this board meeting tonight. She emailed me her board report this afternoon and asked if I could read it. She graduated over the weekend, and she just says she's just got all kinds of family, I think she said Zoom meetings going on tonight, congratulating her. So I'll read her board report. So this is from Siobhan. Students are tirelessly trying to finish their outstanding work before the school year wraps up. Teachers have been incredibly helpful and diligent in pushing their students over the finish line. Seniors took part in the very well done Spotlight on Success at the high school last week, and this Saturday enjoyed their virtual graduation from the comfort of their couches. Seniors also have the option to watch the baccalaureate video that has a special appearance from Mr. McCann, a beloved former history teacher at Forest Grove High School. Despite the setbacks, seniors, myself included, are very grateful for all of the hard work teachers, staff, and community members have put into making our graduation special. It's always a great day to be a Viking. That's from Siobhan Hayes. So that was well done. Thanks to Siobhan for submitting that. Okay, I'll turn it over to Mr. Parker here with correspondence, calendar notes, and superintendent report.
So I'm going to start out with kind of an acknowledgement of some of the things going on in our country right now. In today's paper, you'll see an article that was written by our local paper that had me talking about kind of the relationship of the murder of George Floyd to our district and some of the things we're working on. I want to point it out. I thought he could have improved some of my language a little bit, but the base gist of what I was trying to get at. We've done a lot of work. We're doing a lot of work in our district, and we have lots more work to do. For me, I know it's an issue that we see in our district, and we see it in the disproportionate performance of our students and in the discipline. We're seeing more students of color and more students of who are disproportionately disciplined in our district. So we know there's systemic issues in our here in Forest Grove. So I wanted to just take a moment. Like I said, I would encourage you to kind of read the newspaper article to get a little bit more about some of the things I'm thinking about. I think that the work that we're doing with the University of Michigan and cultural toolkits and how do we express equity in our classrooms is great work. I think it's the right work for us to be doing. But certainly we've still, like us and almost all the other districts that I see in Washington County, the ones I'm familiar with, there's a lot of work to be done here to continue to pull down the barriers for our students, so students and staff of color. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we're aware, and it just highlights that we've got a lot of work to do. Then I'd like to spend a little bit of time this was a big weekend for us. This was the weekend of our students graduating. So I wanted to kind of just talk through a couple of the things that happened. On June 4th, the high school hosted its Spotlight on Success. The school had probably 50 teachers, administrators, board members, superintendents lined up kind of cheering kids. The students all kind of lined up in cars, and then they would come forward when they got to the very, very front. They were kind of cheered on as they came forward. And at the very front, the administrators and counselors did individual presentations to the students of their scholarships and their awards and their honors distinctions. And it was fun. I can honestly say I had a great time kind of talking with kids, and luckily the line got long at some point, so you had a chance to actually step forward and say, so what are your plans? What are you thinking about doing next? And hearing these kids and their dreams for the future, it just was probably one of the better nights I've had in this last 2.5 months. So I want to say thank you to the administrators, teachers, counselors, classified staff who kind of organized and put that together. It wasn't the celebration we wanted to have, but I thought it was a great celebration of our kids who have done amazing things. And that's what I'm going to talk about next, which is, speaking of this class of 2020, I want to say how inspired I was watching the graduation video. Thank you, Mark, for the speech and the tie. I thought that was great. A couple of points of humor in there. That was fun. But this class, while it kind of ended on a sour note, I can tell you, we had 96 graduates that earned an honors diploma. That is an all-time high. We had 31 students who gained valedictorian status, which has met all the requirements. I don't know them all, I don't want to, but the 4.0 and all the other various things of being a valedictorian. 1/3 of this class earned college credits during their 4 years. 1/3. And then this class earned $3.4 million in scholarships and awards. And that, to me, just again says something about who this class was. And while we weren't able to honor them exactly the way we wanted to, I just wanted to make sure people understood this was a spectacular graduating class. So congratulations to the class of 2020. I want to thank the teachers, the counselors, the administrators, all of our employees for the way they've been stepping up and just making this okay as best we can for our students. They deserve a lot more. Next, I want to talk just briefly about fall reopening. So we were supposed to receive the guidelines today for reopening our school district. We did not receive those. I'm hearing now that we're going to get them on Wednesday. These guidelines outline kind of 8 areas that we have to comply with to be able to reopen our schools. 3 of those areas are kind of public health areas, like physical distancing and what are the requirements for hygiene. And the other 5 areas are kind of school related issues. Equity, how are we providing equity How are we going to, what is the curriculum and instruction going to look like next year? It's going to be, we won't be going back to school just like normal school. So we're going to have to talk about what is our model. As soon as I'm planning on getting that information on Wednesday. I think our cabinet will have a discussion about it on Monday. We'll be meeting with principals on it next Thursday. So the next board meeting, I'll come back to kind of lay out what we're seeing as some of the challenges and what might be some of the opportunities. I felt like there was one more thing in the fall reopening, but I'll get back to you on that part of it. Lastly, I wanted to let you know I was in a meeting with kind of superintendents and ODE and COSA last Thursday, and here's what we know about the dollars right now. It's still a $490 million deficit to the general fund. That's the big hole. We're now hearing that this special session should happen sometime between June 22nd and July 3rd. That's good news for us. The earlier that this happens, the better off we are. I do know that there are committees, the education committee and different legislative committees are meeting down in Salem. They have been for the last several weeks. So we should be coming in with some sort of plan moving forward. As soon as I know more about what's going on, I will communicate with you. But I think now this special session is going to happen in the last 2 weeks of school. And with that, I think I'm at the end of my comments tonight. Questions or clarifications?
Well, Dave, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something, maybe it was on the OSBA website or the daily news that comes out, that they talked about something about, they gave a little preview of the opening in some, is that right? In 3 areas or something, or 4 areas, or general areas, or what I saw, but it's
for reopening?
I thought so, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I guess if you haven't seen it, then.
No, they've showed us what the basic areas are for
Okay.
reopening. There's 8 of them. The first 3 are kind of public health issues that you have to comply with. And then the other 5 are kind of the different areas that we're going to have to produce a plan. What I'm hearing right now is we're going to need to bring the board a kind of a reopening blueprint with those 8 areas. It's unsure whether you're going to approve it or whether we just need to present it to you to show that we have a plan. But we're going to have to bring to you a basic reopening plan. I just used that word like 3 times, but.
And it's not school by school, is it, Dave? I mean.
No, it would be by district.
By district, okay.
But you bring up a good point, which is moving forward, when we get back into school, there is this, we need to have our plan needs to be flexible enough that if we did have an outbreak, that we could move back into distance learning and then deal with the outbreak and then be able to come back into a school model again once that, I suppose after 21 days or whatever, but there's a lot of moving parts on this one.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I don't have a question, but I just want to compliment the high school staff and especially on both the graduation presentation and the award presentation. It was well done, and I think that'll be something that the students who graduate in that class will be able to take with them and keep with them. And I just a compliment. I just want to compliment that high school group that put that together. Well done.
Yeah.
I think Narce had a comment.
Narce?
It was similar. So copy. Congratulations.
Okay.
I just want to add to that really quick. Yesterday, our special education teachers, occupational therapists, and classified employees put on a graduation parade for their students. And I just wanted to give them a shout out. I thought it was a really nice idea. They decorated their cars and really went out of their way to make our students feel special. And I thought it was great. And a big shout out to Jill Hurdle, especially, who is on maternity leave and still doing these things for her kids. It's great.
That is great. Okay. Thank you, Dave. Unscheduled public appearance. The board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. Are there any comments that have been received?
Yes, there is one comment that was received from Mary Whitmore, I believe. It says, "Thanks for this opportunity to give you a comment. As I remember, I have 3 minutes. Some of you may remember me from 2008 to 2014. I appeared before the board about 9 times advocating for explicit phonics, or EP. I wish I could say someone listened. Life has a way of happening, and I got to go to Whidbey Island for 3 years to help my daughter with her twins. Then we elected a very strange man for president, and I've been trying to stop him from really hurting our country a lot. And now I'm back in Forest Grove. 2 weeks ago, I told you that I would like to observe in a kindergarten classroom whenever the virus allows, and that I would like to put some information on the webpage under parent resources." She had some feedback about the feedback form. I think I can skip that. I'll go to the last part. "I'm happy to report that EP lends itself very well to Zoom technology. My goal is to answer every question you have about EP. The district paid to have special ed teachers get trained in rigs in the mid-90s. At that time, the law, ORS 337235, mandated that K through 12 teachers have the materials in their classrooms. We need to try EP again because none of us should sleep at night with only 38 out of every 100 third graders reading at grade level. I know you're not alone. The national reading scores are probably only 7 to 10 points higher. I'm not doing this for the 6,000 students we have, but for the 17 million kindergartners that start school every year in America. Feel free to peruse the materials I gave David Parker."
Okay. Thank you, David.
No comments on the email address.
Okay. Okay. So Dave, you have that information then?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, I think we do explicit phonics in our specifically our early grades. Would it be interesting for you to hear what our system is? How much do you, I'm not sure how much the board knows about kind of what our early phonics and literacy theories are. What would be most interesting to the board?
Well, I guess I'd be interested to hear, what we're doing in terms of the EP, because the community member is advocating for that clearly, and so I'd be interested to hear what we might already do. Or
perfect. I'll work with John and Elena, and I'm sure we can kind of review what we currently do. Just so that everybody knows, explicit phonics is, the research is very solidly behind it. So there is we're not in disagreement about this issue.
right.
We have explicit phonics. The original adoption, Pearson, did not have much phonics in it, but we've since that time adopted supplementary curriculums that do. And I'm gonna forget my words right now, but it's, John, what are the 3 curriculums there? It's like HD Word.
ECRI is the primary one.
ECRI, yeah.
HD Word. ECRI is grades K through 2, and then it transitions into 3rd grade HD Word to 5th, 6th grade. And then also for students that need intensive support, we provide Kendor pull out and supports in training.
So again, I think why don't I bring Elena and John, and we can run you through kind of what the current system is. We're looking about 1.5 years. We're going to have to go through another curriculum adoption. So this is going to be a timely time for us to talk about what is literacy in our district and what are the best ways for us to improve it, especially for students that Mary is talking about, which is some of our historically underserved students. Explicit phonics is both, the research is very clear that it is helpful for those students moving forward. So
I'd like to make a comment, Dave,
Yeah.
that, I was over at Cornelius, and I see those programs working very, very well. The pre-kinder program, those kids knew all their sounds and letters at the beginning of March before we closed down. The only thing that we need to make sure we do is that any new teachers that come on to our district, that they are trained in those different reading programs, which I know John and them are on top of that, but they're very, very explicit and they're very effective. And the Wednesday meetings that they do with the kids and looking to see who needs extra help and that they're at Cornelius, they're doing a very good job.
yeah, so we'll bring that back as a future board item, just to make sure that everybody understands what the literacy program is and where we're going to be taking it.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, next item is the consent agenda. So the consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted on under one motion. Are there any items within the consent items a board member or the superintendent wishes to discuss separately? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to maybe a motion for approving.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded. Okay. I'm a roll call vote again. So I'm a yes. Kate Grandusky,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
and Narce.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Motion passes. We're on to the action items. There looks like there are 3 this evening. And the first one is the 2020-2021 budget adoption. And I believe Eileen Clute, Director of Finances, is able to speak to that one.
Thank you, Mark. Tonight you have the budget adoption in front of you. It is required to be adopted by the board by July 1st of every year. This budget proposed to you tonight is the same budget that was approved by the budget committee last month.
Okay. So in adopting the budget, well, are there any questions for Eileen? Maybe I should ask that first. Okay, I don't hear any questions. So thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
This is, it looks like there are 3 separate motions that we will need to make this evening in terms of approving this. And the first one is looks like a resolution to adopt the budget. Then the second one would be a resolution making appropriations. And then the third one would be a resolution to levy and categorize taxes. And so if there are no questions, could I get a motion to approve the first one, which is the resolution adopting the budget?
So moved.
I move that we approve the resolution adopting the budget.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. So we'll do a roll call vote. I'm a yes. Kate?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Valerie?
Yes.
And Narce?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. So that's the first one. the second resolution, and everybody has a copy of the resolutions in the board packet this evening if you need to look at it. But the second resolution is the resolution making appropriations. And so do I have a motion to approve that one?
So moved.
And I'll second that. So it's been moved and seconded. So I'm a yes for that. Brad?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Narce?
Yes.
And Valerie?
Yes.
Okay, that the second resolution making appropriations is passed. And the third one is the resolution to levy and categorize taxes. So, and Kathy, just to clarify, we just need to have one resolution for this, or Eileen?
Yeah, it would probably be good if you read it,
Okay.
the last one, because it has the dollar amounts and everything.
Okay, let me read that one. So be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district for tax year 2020, 2021 at the rate of $4,900, $4, is this right? $4 or
Yep.
$4.9142 per 1,000 of assessed value for permanent tax rate, and two, in the amount of $7,616,704 for debt service on general obligation bonds. So, is there a motion to approve the?
I think you need to read the second half.
Oh, and the second half? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Be it resolved that taxes imposed are hereby categorized for purposes of Article 11, Section 1. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this. 11B. It's 11B.
Yep.
As subject to the education limitation, permanent tax rate $4.914142 per thousand, excluded from limitation, general obligation bond debt service $7,616,704. Okay. I think that.
So at this
covers it.
point, could we say so moved?
Yes.
Yep.
I think so. Okay.
Great.
Seconded? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, I'm a yes. Kate Grandusky?
Yes.
Okay. Brad Bafero?
Yes.
Valerie?
Yes.
And Narce?
Yes.
Okay, great. That motion passes, and I believe that's it for the budget. The item number 2 this evening is the Youth Contact MOU. And we talked about this at our last meeting and had some questions. I think John is here to present this evening. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. O'Neill.
Okay, thank you, Board Chair. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to share my screen here.
Okay.
Let's see. It'll let me. Try again. There we go. And let me go ahead and start by welcoming Executive Director Judy Harris with us this evening.
Hey, John, if you there you go.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, please forgive me. I get to see the presentation, but I don't get to see any of your reactions. So feel free to stop me at some point if needed, please. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So just a brief overview. As you know, we're coming to you with the Youth Contact contract renewal, and you had some questions last time. And Judy Harris, the executive director, is online with us, as well as Karen O'Neill, principal at the high school. Also, Brooke Davis, counselor at the high school, and Brian Burke, assistant principal at the high school. Neil Armstrong, principal, Mr. Garcia Contreras. Unfortunately, his father passed a day ago, and but he previewed this slideshow, and he approves what the content. So basically, Youth Contact has provided universal prevention services in drug and alcohol and counseling service to Forest Grove High School since 1984. And the current users include NAMS, Forest Grove High School, Calc, and Create. The annual subscription for a 1.0 FTE is $87,780 for 1.0 FTE at the high school and Calc. For the district to hire this position, the average counselor costs the district $108,000 for 1.0 FTE counselor, which includes both salary and benefits in the district figure.
John, this is Judy. May I interrupt you and correct you just slightly? Actually, sure. what you're buying with that 87,780 is 1.5 FTE at the high school.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
outstanding. That's right. Even better.
I thought it would get better. That was good.
Yeah, awesome. So for the past 2 years, Youth Contact wrote additional grants and were able to supplement their 1.0 or 1.5 with an additional 0.5 FTE Youth Contact counselor that helps serve NAMS and the high school, primarily at Calc. Correct, Judy? Did I state that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and we have grants that support the high school positions as well. They cost more than $87,780 for 1.5 people, but those are from other dollars that we are able to raise.
Excellent. Thank you. So as you know, they have had an extensive history with implementing family focus methodology, which has been well-researched and proven highly effective by brief strategic family therapy, or BSFT, and multidimensional family therapy, MDFT frameworks. This emphasis helps provide clinical staff with an organized way to both assess and plan measurable intervention and treatment outcomes. All of the agency's programs place a strong emphasis on including families in the assessment and counseling of youth throughout the involvement with their services. There's two primary functions that Youth Contact provides to us in their school-based programs. The first is the Juvenile Crime Prevention, or JCP program, which is designed to address the needs of at-risk youth in order to reduce delinquency. And the second is the Student Assistance Program, or SAP, which is designed to prevent alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use among youth. Students are deemed eligible for the program if they present risk factors that research indicates are correlated with substance abuse, including but not limited to poor parent-child communication, family conflict, family disorganization, parental substance abuse, poor school performance, and social emotional behavioral problems. And this, the program therapist performs a multitude of duties depending on the needs of the student and the families, which include alcohol and drug screening assessments, skill building groups, and that presents the consequences of substance abuse, helps students develop refusal skills, and address other issues related to substance abuse, such as conflict resolution, stress management, etc. Family and individual counseling are designed to address the risk factors, as well as provide crisis intervention and referrals to community resources as needed. Program staff also provide services targeted toward preventing substance use across the student body, regardless of the student's determined level of risk. This may include delivering classroom presentations, training students to become peer mediators, facilitating parent education support groups related to youth substance abuse, and providing expertise regarding substance abuse and prevention to school and/or community groups, all of which takes place through this partnership with Youth Contact. The supplemental grant is designed to support the middle school program, will be extended through the summer per the county. I got word from Judy today that the county has said, yes, their grant, they want to extend it all summer. But due to COVID-19, the RFP for the 2021 school year did not get released, and the county's waiting to see budgetarily if they can move forward with this grant funding for next year.
They've actually decided to go forward with an RFP in the summer. And so decisions will be made by the end of August to determine who will provide the service. And actually the funding has been reduced fairly significantly, we think, from what we know now. So we'll see.
All right.
Can I ask a question, John?
Sure, please.
So in your first slide, I just wanted to clarify. So what the proposal is for this year, and Judy spoke to it, is a total of 1.5 counselors in the district distributed between those 4 schools. No?
No, we actually have a total of 2 full-time FTE.
Okay.
And 0.5 of it is at the middle school, funded entirely by the grant that's being rebid this summer.
Okay.
So that one is a little iffy, I would say, that grant funding, because we just don't know what will happen with it and how much is available. But the funding we're asking for from the district is to support the 1.5 at the high school and calc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that answers my second question, which was that last 2 years you've had 2 counselors, and I just didn't see the 2 in the initial deal. So, okay.
Right. It wasn't on the contract paperwork. This says only 1, so we can go ahead and do that for 1.5. Right,
So
Judy?
we must have messed up in what we sent, and I apologize.
Well, no, maybe not. Maybe I misread it. I don't know.
No, I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's our mistake.
Oh,
It's okay. Yeah, we'll take it. So, Judy, do you want to elaborate on this last bullet then and clarify that Youth Contact is also applied for a foundation grant?
Yes, because we weren't sure what was going to happen with the middle school funding, we thought it would be smart to go after other dollars to help support that. The money that we can get for that is still being reviewed, and we won't know for another several weeks. And it wouldn't pay for a 0.5, but it would at least it would help us to be able to try to reserve that position, maintain that position, which we'd like to do if we can.
Great. Youth Contact program goals. Judy submitted program goals and the data that they collect. It's multiple pages and documents. And so I'm going to read off what some of them that caught my eye. This is not an inclusive list, but I'll just go ahead and show what their goal was and what their actual outcome was for this year. Now, remember, as you all know, we closed early in March this year. However, they have been continuing to provide service to students and families that they've been working with previously during the closure and will do so over the summer. So some of their goals are provide universal prevention strategies. And on that is 219 hours provided for 43 students. Provide a minimum of 90 volunteer hours in universal activities. They surpassed that. The actual was 119 hours provided. 90% of students involved in the peer helping activities will report feeling connected to their schools, and they will identify 3 adults to support them. Actually, they did hit that 90% achievement rate. They identified a goal of providing 340 hours of services to 77 students who request information regarding emotional, behavioral awareness, prevention, and resources. They actually surpassed that pretty significantly this year. The actual was 485 hours involving 153 students. Another goal is to provide 136 hours to 64 parents and families regarding awareness of community resources for prevention and intervention resources and activities in schools and community. The actual, again, in terms of hours, far surpassed 378 hours with 48 students. Provide 136 hours of group activities to 64 students to address risk factors for youth substance use. The actual was only 49 hours, but to 15 students. Provide 68 hours of training and consultation regarding drug, alcohol resources, information for 43 students and parents. The actual was 100 hours to 54 students and parents. Provide a minimum of 85% of the students who complete the group will report based upon pre and post participant and facilitator evaluation and increase in problem solving and resiliency skills. Actual was 100% of the students that participated achieved that level, reported that level. A minimum of 85% of the students who complete the group will report via survey a stronger connection to the school they attended. Actually, 100% reported that. And a minimum of 85% of students identified will follow through on recommendations for services. This year we hit 72%, and the early closure might have had a impact. Question raised in our last board meeting was, what are our student demographics who access these services? So through May 2020, youth contact facilitators served approximately 403 unduplicated students in Forest Grove. 61% are Latinx, 31% Caucasian, 8% report biracial or other, 58% are female identified, and 42% identify as male. I did receive this data from Mr. Garcia Contreras, principal at Neil Armstrong, and I included that as well for your consideration. Direct Family Services contacted 14 students overall, and 7 of the 14 remain active even during the closure. 10 were drug and alcohol assessments. 9 students participated in a stress and anxiety group. 25 students reached through the social emotional learning school platform.
John, that's 258 students reached through that platform.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 258 students reached, posted mindfulness activities, grieving material, community resource, phone outreach, and normal client appointments. 14 families served during COVID closure beyond the active client caseload, so beyond those 7 that we reported earlier. And 38 families were reached to provide additional services. In the middle school as well, 14 families, 38, that's a repeat, to join the stress and anxiety group services.
Yeah.
The total middle school families reached 334, total middle school families served 277, and the middle school demographics, 81% Latinx, 17% Caucasian, 2% self-reported biracial, 47% male identified, and 53% female identified. And Karen, if you're on, do you want to go ahead and read your quote?
Yeah, if I can find my mic. So if we didn't have youth contact as a resource, many of our students and families, they just simply wouldn't receive the support that they need. Even families that know how to navigate the system in trying to seek out these resources, the wait time is typically several months. And by having youth contact in our building and they're with us on our EBIS meetings, they are just amazingly helpful and a fantastic resource for our kids and our parents. And especially given this current time, oh my gosh, they are going to be needed more than ever.
Thank you. Brooke Gale, who is a Forest Grove counselor and former youth contact counselor. I asked if she could participate today in the presentation because she brings a very unique perspective, being a former youth contact counselor, one that was so awesome that we went ahead and hired her at the high school. I asked her for some data and some feedback as well. And Brooke, if you're able to mic in, do you mind sharing your data, or I can?
She doesn't have the link to the meeting, so she's just watching it live stream right now.
Yeah, I can. John, you forgot to tell me.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. So, so in 2019-20, Forest Grove School District saw a 40% increase of parents reporting their students are experiencing anxiety and depression, which are two major factors that contribute to teen drug alcohol use. The counselor caseloads at the high school are very high, and while we utilize youth contact daily to help coordinate with both drug and alcohol referrals as well as mental health referrals with our limited time, the waiting times for getting into an outside counselor, and Karen also shared this data in her quote, are on average 1 to 3 months. And with the current world stresses, the wait time's even longer, and youth contact decreases that wait time. Oregon Lines for Life reports a 25% increase in the number of people contacting its youth crisis support line in the month of April alone. And a federal emergency hotline reported 1,000% increase in April over last year's statistics due to the closure. So as she stated, we need youth contact now more than ever. And I apologize that Brooke could not get on this presentation. So like I said, for Osvaldo Garcia Contreras, stop sharing, could not be with us today, but he also has strong support for these continued services, and just the amount of support our families are experiencing during this time of closure. It's an additional much needed resource, and kudos to Judy and her crew for not only bringing us Brooke, but this is my 18th year in the district. And I've worked with many, both as a Forest Grove High School principal and not so much as my current role as assistant superintendent. But I hear a lot of positive kudos from families that I meet with in terms of addressing individual family concerns and student concerns, as well as interacting with counseling staff and administrators in the district. So with that being said, Mark, do you have, or board members, do you have any questions for Judy or anyone in attendance?
I'll open it up to board members to ask questions. I think I've got one or two, but I'll defer for now. Does anybody have a question?
I have a question. This is Marce. Thank you, Judy, and thank you, John, for the information. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the demographic change. I think I saw 61% of the students being served Latinx. So the question that I have is, does that mirror the disparity between our Latinx population and the FTE of staff that's hired for these positions? So do we have any Latinx counselors that are delivering, that have the cultural competency and humility to deliver?
One of the two FTE that we have currently is Latinx.
Okay. And bilingual, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to say that I appreciate, because my mind went to the realities of how long our students may need to wait to get services, like for mental health. So to have the service available to them really, in a timely manner, it's admirable. It's amazing. I applaud you for that. And also because not all of our students might have the ability to have insurance, or their parents have insurance. So, that's something that I don't think they're asked for insurance, right?
That's correct. because it's funded otherwise. Yeah. So it helps us to be able to include any student that needs the assistance in any family. Yeah.
And then the last question, what are the foundations that the funding comes from? Besides, like, is it like Meyer Memorial, or who are they?
No, we don't get ongoing funding. Most foundations won't pay for operational costs over time. Occasionally we get a grant, for a short term, which is what we went after for the middle school potential, if we need it, if we get it. But the funders are primarily two different sources at the county. The county Washington County originally funded drug and alcohol prevention services in schools in '84. So Hillsborough and Forest Grove were two of the first districts to really embrace that idea that would be beneficial to schools. And we've maintained those services for both school districts for that length of time. And we also serve other districts now and have over years, but you guys are from the way back that we've done it. So the funding is still coming from the county, but we added a different grant from the county also that helped us to maintain and add that 0.5 FTE a few years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago, as I recall.
And then just one more question.
Yeah.
Do our CREATE students have access to these services?
I'm sorry, one more time, please.
Students that participate in CREATE.
Yes, in CREATE, I don't know whether they do or not. We don't target them specifically, but we take whoever the school wants to refer. We get a lot of self-referrals from students, so they may well participate in CREATE, but I know that we have some portion of the FTE go to Calc on a weekly basis, so there is coverage there. I'm just not as I'm not as knowledgeable, I'm sorry to tell you, about how the CREATE kids are involved or not involved with what we do.
Yeah.
So I know that they do for sure at the middle school. Osvaldo Garcia Contreras is the point person for the middle school, and he coordinates those services. And not to put too much of a direct point, but some of the students that we are referring are a result of drug and alcohol offenses in the school. The vast majority are not. They are not. But Brooke, you're on.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to that. We do, if a CREATE student does need counseling services, we do refer them to Youth Contact, so they are able to access that.
Thank you, Brooke.
I'm glad to know that.
So I just had a question. When you talk about being referred, so once a student's referred, whether it's a self-referral or from someone else, is there, for lack of a better term, is there an eligibility determination for whether they can be served by Youth Contact?
Yeah, the high school eligibility determination is quite broad. It's really any student who shows who could belong to a risk, who might have a risk. So kids that have risk for drug and alcohol use and abuse is quite a big range. They could be sad and depressed and worried about something, and that's risky in and of itself. The middle school position is really targeting kids who are middle to high risk of delinquency. And we do have a screening tool that we are required to use from the funder, and that does eliminate some students, but we serve them anyway. So we never say no to a kid. We just try to help them get connected to other services if it's not going to be through our own program directly. And we sometimes include them in our group services, because if we have enough room in the group, we can add a kid or two that might not fit the criteria, but if they're not going to be harmed or it's not a bad idea for them, then we would also include them that way. So.
Okay.
I wanted to add something, if I might, about the population and the service. The model we use primarily was begun to work with minority populations. So it was really developed originally and researched originally for Latinx and African American populations. Later, the family model was then researched and tested for Caucasian families and found to be highly effective with them as well. but it is not a traditional therapy model, and it's one of the few really evidence-based approaches that is actually well-researched for non-majority populations. And I know in Forest Grove, Latinx population is almost the majority, if not it is already. But I think it's important for the board member who was asking about equity, and I think our bias is very strongly that we need to include parents as a really important piece of the work. And I think that you achieve equity and justice well if you've got parents who are informed and know how they can be good advocates for their students. And so we're really working hard to engage them by treating them with the great respect and expertise that they have about their own families. And I think that helps to engage them and helps them to do better over time with the work they need to do with the kiddo. So thank you for letting me say that.
Okay, are there any other questions, board members?
Yeah, I would just,
Okay.
this is Brad. I would just make a comment on the memorandum of agreement that the 1 FTE be changed to 1.5 FTE. I'm just looking at it right now. I don't know what the process is going to be, but actually we'll be voting on the 87,780 for 1.5. Is that correct, John?
Yes, and yes, and Judy, are we going to bump that up to 1.5 then?
That's just fine. Absolutely. Please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, the funding has been approved by the counties for all that half, the other portion of it. So.
Okay, Brad, can we, whoever makes the motion, can we adjust that for 1.5 FTE, please?
Yeah, and then the contract will just need to be changed and re-signed then, I guess.
Yep.
As written.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then the 0.5 that Judy mentioned is a grant funded, so that's not
No,
a totally separate. Okay.
that's a totally separate.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Okay. If there are no other questions, I would move that we approve the youth contact MOU, and it should read for a 1.5 FTE at the cost of, I've lost the cost,
87,780.
there it is, $87,780 for the 2020-2021 school year. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. I'm a yes. Brad Bafero.
Yes.
Okay. Kate Grandusky.
Yes.
Valerie.
Yes.
And Narce.
C, yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Judy, for being with us this evening. That was helpful.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. Okay, the next item, item number 3 is the Odyssey Wear contract. And I think, again, Mr. O'Neill is presenting this one.
Yes, sir. As you know, the board wanted some additional information and data, and I was able to get that. And I just want to say thanks to the high school staff for getting me as much as they possibly can. They've been working on getting seniors across the threshold of graduation. They're still doing that, even though we held the ceremony. In Mark, you're fully aware of that. As a former high school principal, we don't give up. We're continuing to work with the underclassmen as well. But before you this evening is the annual subscription price of $71,000 for Odyssey Wear. And what that gives us, and plus another $10,000 for summer school. And it requires annual approval by the school board due to our board policy in terms of the amount of the expenditure is over $50,000. So our staff at Neil Armstrong, Forest Grove High School, Calc, and Oak Grove, and Create all utilize this software to award credit. Is the basic curriculum in the main areas. The high school has gone away from using OdysseyWare for math, but the other curriculum content areas are fully serviced by that. And it has been instrumental in terms of getting kids continued educational access so that they could get the credits they need during this time of closure. So the OdysseyWare site license entails 100 users at any one given time, 24/7 access. It also provides 2 professional development webinar trainings, and the extra $10,000 provides additional site licenses during summer. This summer is going to be particularly challenging in terms of it will be 100% offered virtual for credit recovery. And Brian Burke and his team of summer staff are already working to identify and continue those services. So what's really outstanding about this is we have continued access all summer, and they can work right into the fall, and they achieve credits during that time. So I don't know, Chair Everett, if you want Brian Burke or Karen O'Neill to comment further. They're online.
Okay. I don't have any questions for either Karen or Brian. I do have a question about the cost and what the cost was last year. I see it's 71,000. Maybe it was 71,000 last year, which would be great. Is that the case? Or
I believe it was 71,000
okay.
year, but one thing I forgot to add, the data you wanted. I'm sorry, Mark. The board wanted, not you. Well, anyway, bottom line is the high school, as of June 2nd, awarded 244.5 credits on the transcript from OdysseyWare. So as you know, every class is a semester offers a 0.5 credit. So actual number of courses, you got to multiply that by 2. So what is that? 488.5 classes completed. This doesn't include from June 2nd on, and it doesn't include summer. And Brian Burke, who tracks that for us, is considering another 25 credits or 50 courses recovered within the next couple of days. And with the continued work of 9th through 11th graders, in addition to the seniors that have not made it as of yet and are attending summer school, we could hit closer to 280 to 300 credits achieved. Also, in speaking with Krista Slaughter, our principal at Oak Grove Academy, they have awarded 44 credits, or in other words, 88 classes completed towards their standard diploma, which is outstanding. I don't believe, Brian, if you are able to get the calc numbers or not. I know they're still busy working with kids.
I did not. I would assume it's pretty similar to Oak Grove. About a third to half of Calc's curriculum is through OdysseyWare.
Thank you. So for the amount of expenditure, we're really reaping a lot of rewards for students. And, you know, the other thing, like I said before, prior to the closure, our students, staff, and parents were very familiar with the format, and they kind of just picked up right where they were at and left off, you know, using the OdysseyWare curriculum. So that was very powerful.
Hey, John, I just have a question. So this is subscription that we have for 71,000 says annual. So that's a year subscription. What's the additional 10,000 for if we have a annual subscription of 71,000? Why are we paying $10,000 more for summer for an annual subscription?
Yeah, historically, we would add $5,000 more. The subscription doesn't cover the summer. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why we went from 5,000 additional more for summer to 10,000 is because we have a far greater need of students that need the elective or the credits, particularly when the governor through the grading practices said any student that was not on track or passing their courses had to earn that right going forward. But Brian, I'm going to defer to you.
We typically increase it every summer because we have upwards to 400 kids at summer school. And only in the school year, the annual contract, only 100 can be on at a time. So we've had to expand it during those, and it's just a 5-week period that we've expanded it. We're not sure what we'll have this year since we're all online. We have about 150 kids who have signed up for summer school right now. And as this week finishes up, we expect that we will probably get quite a few more. So we usually do increase it just because we need more licenses at a given time. Summer school's, kind of a short window of time.
Thank you.
So Brian, the 71,000, it is an annual, or Brian or John, the 71,000 is a 12-month subscription then.
Okay, yes.
But it doesn't give us enough licenses for the summertime is what you're saying.
Correct. Traditionally, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. And what I also want to just point out is we have earmarked in the C&I budget $25,000 for the mandatory summer school historically that we've provided for 16 years for students at the middle school level that were not on track at the end of the closure. Because of the unique circumstances, we've taken that dollar amount and put towards credit recovery at the high school to help defer the tuition costs for kids attending. That's $150 per student. Migrant students can attend for free. We write that into our Title 1C grant every year for migrant services. But based upon the need, we just earmarked that money and that resource to help buy more tuition for students. So we are expecting to see a higher enrollment rate this summer.
Okay, do other board members have questions of John or Brian? Okay, thank you, John and Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the Odyssey Ware contract?
I move that we approve the Odyssey Ware contract as written.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Val. Okay, I am a yes. Val?
Yes.
Narce? Narce? Oh, maybe your mic's off. Karen, or not Karen, Kate, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Let's see, Brad?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and Narce?
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right. We are now into the last item for the evening, the future board items or board discussion. Just a time for board members to provide input or on future board items or discuss or report on committee meetings and so on. Does anybody, just open it up, does anybody have a comment here under this section? Any board member? Okay. I think I'm looking at our future board items here. Well, I don't have anything to add, and I guess if nobody has any comments, we'll go ahead and close the meeting. The time is 6:49 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for attending this evening's meeting.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mark.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.